I get asked a lot of questions on the channel, whether that be in the YouTube comment section, whether that be on the JLAndersonMusic Discord server, whether that be on Twitter. I get asked a lot of questions, and one of the more common questions I've been getting as time goes on, including back in June, 1 month removed from Scale Nicey, was the question, when's the next 21 Pilot album coming out? Like I said, I got that question a month removed from Scale Nicey, and as time progressed, we've had more and more theories on when the next album will be dropping. We had theories saying that there was going to be a new album in last November when the Takeover tour concluded. We had theories that saying we're going to get a new album in January. It's almost the end of January. We don't have a new album. We had theories saying this spring. We've had theories saying end of this year. We have so many theories on when the next album's going to be released. I figure might as well answer this frequently asked question and throw my own theory in the hat. So, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on when you're watching this. How's it going, guys? First off, I hope you're having a good day today. Hope your day is going well and hope it continues to go well. Let's talk about my prediction on when the next 21 Pilot album will be dropping. Let's go. First off, I want to talk about some other theories I see in regards to this subject, because there are a lot in there, some before my timeline prediction and or one exception which comes after my timeline prediction, and they're worth talking about because discussion. So, I see a lot of people saying that 21 Pilots will be releasing their new album sometime this spring and or sometime this summer. And they basically cite the same idea. 21 Pilots have this huge break right now, all spring long. They just did their last performance, their last commitment for the iHeartRadio Alter Ego Fest, and their next show is somewhere in May. So they have this huge gap between this and their next show before they go to Europe to do their European dates. Then they start on the Icy Tour, and a lot of people are speculating that they're going to be recording an album in this time, so that way when they either go to Europe or they kick off the Icy Tour, they're going to have a new album to promote. I disagree with this very heavily for several reasons. Number one, most likely they're taking the spring off because, I mean, Tyler has a child coming, so Tyler probably wants to be there for when the baby comes, so that way he's there with Jenna as support, he's there with the baby, he's there with Rosie, so they just want to spend some family time together, and probably so does Josh, and we shouldn't be coming up with theories about Jenna and the new baby. That is gross, and in fact I have to say that is gross. Yes, there are people doing it, and I don't like it. It makes me very uncomfortable. But they're probably taking the spring off just for this I was about to say the situation, but it's a great thing. They're probably taking time off for this baby's arrival and just recharging their batteries because, I mean, they're probably tired. And also, what really kills this is the name of the next tour. The Icy Tour. Scale Nicey, the Icy Tour. Of course, they're going to tour with some form of representation of the new album. Because, I mean, look at the Bandito tour. Bandito was a subject in the Dima lore, is a song on the album. They had two separate legs of the Bandito tour. So them to do another tour with Scale Nicey makes complete sense, and to have that branding, it makes no sense from a business standpoint to release another album using the last album's branding for your uses. Maybe if you're doing a reunion tour, then you can do that, like if Elton John decides, you know what, I want to have a Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour, which I think is actually the name of his farewell tour, that they can do that if they're using a previous concept from an album, but it makes no business sense calling your next tour after your last album if you are going to release a new album before then. So I don't think there will be an album this spring. I don't believe there will be an album this summer. they just want to spend time, just want to have family time, recharge their batteries, and then they'll go perform in May, then go to Europe, do their dates, then kick off on the Icy tour. But Justin, Tyler said in the Zane Lowe interview they weren't going to tour with Skale and Icy. They said they might cook up another one, then go on tour with hints of the last one. This is a really misinterpreted quote from the Zane Lowe interview. So if you have Apple Music and you go to the Zane Lowe interview with 21 Pilots, specifically with Tyler Joseph, and go to part 5 of it and go to the 1106 part, you'll come up with this. And I hope I can show you this without getting the copyright thing. I might have to change the audio a bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, to get right down to it, there's either we wait around and we play shows on this record that
which they did,
we're about to release, or we make another record, and when we come out guns a-blazing, we're referencing this record and a new one.
Which they didn't. Nowhere in this interview Tyler says, and maybe in a previous part that I completely missed, but nowhere does Tyler say they weren't touring with Skale and Icy. There was always this idea of touring. Tyler was unsure. There was never, no, I'm not touring with this album. That is a common misconception of the interview. Tyler just wasn't full 100% sure, and thankfully, they were able to tour this album and still continue to tour with this album, which is great. Live music is awesome. The next common theory I see going around is that the next album will be released in 2024. And the main citation for this is because 21 Pilots has been releasing albums in a cycle of 3 years, with the exception of their earlier albums like self-titled The Vessel, that has a cycle of 4 years. If you're putting Regional at Best in there, that is technically 3 years. And The Vessel to Blurry Face, that was 2 years, but from Blurry Face all the way to Skale and Icy, it's been 3 years. So 3 years removed from Blurry Face, it's Trench. 3 years removed from Trench, it's Scaled and Icy. People cite the 3-year thing, to which that gives 21 Pilots a lot of room to do a lot of shows. They are a live band. They like going on tour and playing live shows, which is why the Takeover Tour meant so much to not only 21 Pilots fans, but also to Tyler as well. So the 3-year album cycle thing is definitely something strong to consider, but I would like to throw my nail into the hat. My nail into the hat, is that an expression? My needle in the haystack? I don't know, here's my idea. So I have 2 ideas with this. The one I more strongly believe than the other. I'll talk about that one last. So, the first idea is that it will be released next year, 2022, sometime during the summer, maybe the fall. And the reason I think this is because Tyler has been pointing to the number 2 a lot. There have been, especially in the Saturday music video, there was that one shot Tyler singing Saturday, and he would just hold up a peace sign to the camera with 2, and then he'd be very blurry in the background. And I believe that happened on the live stream experience also. They have been talking a lot about 2. I mean, there's the song 2, but that's not 21 Pilots canon. Like Regional at Best, like self-titled, like Vessel, Fight Me, The Hill I'll Die On, my hot take. But 21 Pilots has been talking a lot about 2 in music videos in terms of lore, so it's possible that the album cycle will release in 2022, 2 years removed from the Scaled and Icy album sometime in the spring and or fall. Now, the one I am leaning towards the most will still be in 2022, but the spring of 2022. Here is why. They've been on an album cycle of 3 years. You gotta break the cycle in half. 1.5. 1.5 years later, from Skale and Icy, they will release their new album. This means that it will come out the very beginning of 2022 in January, much like they have done with, the very beginning, or even in November, because I mean, even this November, because if you think about it, we are going to be going to the 1-year anniversary of Scale and Icy. Half a year next will be in November. We got the anniversary of the live stream experience with all the audio this November, so it's quite possible that after the Icy tour is done, their last date is in September, they're going to be using this break, of course, dealing with family stuff, but maybe they'll be writing more. Also, Tyler's constantly writing. They write on the road. Blurryface was written a lot on the road. So it's quite possible that they're going to write on the Icy tour during these European shows. They're going, as soon as they're done with the Icy tour, they are immediately going to go in the studio. They are going to record an album, and they are going to have a release towards the end of November, beginning of December, somewhere in January. That is where I want to believe, and maybe they'll start as soon as they're done with the Icy tour. Again, but this will be very, very disproven if they announce more shows after the Icy tour, which most likely they are going to, being that they are one of the most popular bands in the world. They're probably going to pop up on some festival or one-off show here. But I think they'll start recording this next album after the Icy tour. So maybe the spring of 2022, maybe next January. The earliest, maybe November or December, if they speed run the mixing and mastering process, the promotional process, because you have to have a music video, you have to have singles, you have to have this whole hype for this new album. You can't just, I mean, you can, but it's smart to just there. And they're probably going to take their time with this because it's the last album of the Dima storyline. Tyler has gone on record to say that they are going to do one more album of the Dima storyline after Psy, and which this is going to give more credence to the 3-year theories that they're going to take their time and come up with some ending to the storyline. So that's just my thoughts. I might have just convinced myself to the 3-year thing, but I am leaning my hat to the very beginning of 2022 in January and or very end of December. So now that I have brought up this moral dilemma I'm having with myself when the next album is going to be released, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below, because I'd love to know what you're thinking. Do you think that it's going to be released in a year and a half? They're going to break the cycle in half of that 3-year cycle, and they're going to release it 1.5 years later offside? Do you think that it's going to be 3 years? Do you think it's going to be sooner? Do you think it's going to be tomorrow? If you think it's tomorrow, well, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to go deal with this moral dilemma I'm having. I'm going to shower, go to bed, edit this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye, and good night. More importantly, have a good day, and I'll see you later.